Well, Chris has turned the mics back on, and this is Radio Entrepreneurs. Thank you very much, Chris, for all your help. And with your help, we have now gone over 6,000 guests on Radio Entrepreneurs and hitting that 1 million viewer and observers for our show. Our next guest is Keith Reardon, Managing Partner and Co-Founder, Commonwealth Consulting Group. Welcome, Keith.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Tell us about the Commonwealth Consulting Group.
So it was started back in April of 2010, and we got into the industry during the recession, where there was just a common theme among business owners that they were trying to figure out ways to reduce operating costs. And so we were pouring through P&Ls and balance statements in 2009, and we just saw a recurring theme that a lot of businesses were paying a lot of money to take money in. And so we kind of investigated that, dotted some I's and crossed some T's, and figured that we could do it on our own. And then we went to some customers that we had in another business that we were involved in at the time and said, hey, you were asking us to help you out, give us a shot, and if it doesn't work, go back to your current vendor. And here we are now, almost 10 years later.
Wow. Do you have a sort of client profile that's typical for you?
So we work with all types of clients. So from a mom and pop Main Street style business to a startup type business, all the way up to multinational, multi-billion dollar corporations. We kind of run the entire gamut. We have a lot of relationships with banks and credit unions where they're referring off all of their business customers over to us that need the services that we provide. So that's what enables us to get a lot of the Main Street type of clients. But I predominantly focus on larger businesses that are in the business-to-business realm, wholesale distribution, suppliers, jobbers, manufacturing, industrial, things of the like, is sort of my specialty with regards to integrating into their ERP systems like Oracle or SAP or NetSuite to make the process of moving money for them from their customers to over to the business a much more streamlined, efficient, cost-effective process.
Do you get involved with receivable issues with companies?
So we don't come in and do any type of factoring or take over their receivables, but what we'll do is we'll look at what they have in net 60s, net 90s, all the way to net 180s, and we work with them to figure out ways to eliminate the aspect of receivables by adding in addendums to their agreements that will allow them upon a certain time frame to hit an ACH or to process a credit card on file so that receivables don't become an issue for companies. So that's one of the biggest things that we do is educate larger clients that feel that if they were to do that with their customers, that they would lose business, and show them the results of past clients and that it won't make them lose any customers, and it will have 100% speed up their cash flow and help them to eliminate that. So that's sort of what we do as far as the receivables aspect.
So, you don't have to give us a company name. Why don't you walk us through your process and what you apply to companies so any listeners that are listening to the show can sort of get a real hardcore feeling for what you exactly do.
So the reason that we named ourselves Commonwealth Consulting Group was exactly that. We want to come in and take a consultative approach to everything that's going on in a company's accounts receivables, whether they're strictly just doing credit and debit card processing to allow customers to make a payment if it was a retailer or a restaurant or a bar or whatever it may be, all the way up to large corporations that are dealing in multiple currencies. They might be paying employees in multiple currencies depending on where all of their staff is located. They might be dealing with wires and ACH and credit and debit cards and prepaid cards. They might have government contracts out there. And so we just look at the entire sales process that a business has and where their pain points are as far as receiving payments from their customers. We work with the AR team. We'll work with the CFOs and controllers to really figure out and understand how they conduct their business, and then come back to them with a proposal that shows them ways that we can make everything more efficient, more streamlined, automate processes if we're able to, depending on the CRM or the ERP system that they might be using. And then we also look at the way that they're price structured with their current vendors with all of those different product offerings and figure out ways that we can do things more efficiently. So not only are we doing the consultative aspect, but then we will also come in and give them our suite of products to see if they would like to, work with us going forward.
Is it a very competitive field, and how do you differentiate yourself?
It's incredibly competitive. We are the epitome of a commodity-based business. It's irrelevant if somebody was to work with ourselves, one of the large financial institutions, or another, company like us. We all have the exact same costs to move money. So all that it really is what are you being charged above that cost? So from a value standpoint, you really can't stick out on price. You really need to, I always tell my salespeople, we need to figure out how to create Starbucks and Dunkin' Donuts around the commodity of coffee. How do we differentiate ourselves? And so what we've done is we've done a really good job with larger companies and really fine-tuning the entire process and making things a lot more efficient. And on the smaller businesses, as technology is changing all the time, whether it's a software or a hardware, like a point of sale system or a gateway, or if they're doing e-commerce payments or things like that, that technology is constantly evolving. So making sure that we're always putting the newest and greatest technologies in front of our current customers as well as our prospects so that they can stay ahead of the curve. And then security is incredibly important. 85% of hacks are going after small businesses, not larger businesses, because they just don't have the financial resources to protect their networks and systems like an Amazon or a Walmart or a Home Depot or something to that effect. So we really work on the security aspect and educate our clients on the risks that they have with their various processes so that if something were to happen, that they have some types of stop gaps in place so that we can make sure that nothing's going to affect their bottom line significantly if there were a breach.
So you talk about security and technology. Are you basically taking off-the-shelf technology and refining it, just using it off the shelf, or are you starting from scratch building your own technology? And how do you monitor that?
So from a security standpoint, we're not actually allowed to do the security ourselves. We have to bring in third-party security vendors, which I think is a good thing. It makes it so that no company can
More objective?
Yeah, exactly. You can't just say, oh, you're PCI compliant. They need to go through the process. If they're processing payments through the internet, we need to make sure that we're doing quarterly penetration tests onto their network to see how easy or how challenging it is to hack into their systems. That technology is constantly evolving, and so these PCI validation companies are the ones that are obviously always updating their processes and their protocols on what is PCI compliant based on the PCI standards that come out from all of the issuing banks and all of the networks like Visa, MasterCard, etc. When it comes to the software and the hardware that we're utilizing with our clients, some of it is off-the-shelf stuff, some of it's stuff that we're reselling from third parties, and then we also have some proprietary things that we do that are more specific to our business-to-business type customers.
Wow, we've been talking with Keith Reardon, managing partner and co-founder, Commonwealth Consulting Group. Very interesting, Keith, and you're going to have to come back and talk a little bit more in depth about some of these cases that you do. We hope this is just the first of many. This was just a little introduction today. If someone's looking for you in Commonwealth Consulting Group, how would they do that?
The easiest way is to go to our website, www.ccgpays.com, and then they can go to the Contact Us form. We do a free audit for anybody that we get introduced to, and then we can kind of go from there if they feel that it would be appropriate to move forward.
Good. Thanks for being on the show today.
Thanks for having me.
Remind everybody this is Radio Entrepreneurs, and thanks for the studio to MTP Software, the leader in sports CRM. We're going to take a break, and we'll have more stories